What if one of the most dangerous things happening to your health right now has nothing to do with what you eat, how you sleep, or how much you exercise? What if it's something most doctors never ask about and most people are too embarrassed to admit? The United States Surgeon General has issued a formal advisory about it, and studies show it may be as damaging to your physical health as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. We're talking about loneliness. And after the age of 50, it becomes one of the most serious and most overlooked threats to your brain, your heart, and your body. Today, we're going to walk you through exactly what loneliness does inside your body, why it accelerates after 50, and what the research says you can do about it. Because this isn't just about feeling sad. The biology here is real, and it's serious. Loneliness is not primarily an emotion. It's a biological state, a threat response. And your body reacts to it the same way it reacts to physical danger. When your brain perceives social isolation, it activates the same stress response systems that would fire if you were being physically threatened. Cortisol rises, the immune system shifts into a defensive, inflammatory mode. In the short term, this response makes evolutionary sense. For our ancestors, being separated from the group was genuinely dangerous. The stress response motivated reconnection. It kept people alive. But when loneliness becomes chronic, when the sense of disconnection persists for months or years, that stress response never turns off. And a stress response that never turns off becomes one of the most destructive forces the human body can experience. Researchers spent decades studying what chronic loneliness does to the body. What they found was striking. Lonely individuals show persistently elevated cortisol, significantly higher inflammatory markers, impaired immune function, disrupted sleep, and accelerated cellular aging. These aren't subtle differences. They're measurable, consistent, and clinically significant. So why does loneliness become so much more common after 50? Number one, the social network naturally contracts. After 50, the structures that kept people connected begin to fall away. Children leave home. Colleagues disappear when careers end. Friends relocate, become ill, or die. And unlike younger adults who encounter new people through school and early careers, adults over 50 have far fewer built-in environments for forming new connections. Research has found that the average American social network shrinks significantly after midlife and accelerates after retirement. Number two, physical health limits participation, chronic pain, reduced energy, hearing loss, and mobility challenges make it harder to get out and maintain the effort that social connection requires. As physical health declines, social engagement often declines with it, creating a cycle where isolation worsens health, which worsens isolation. Number three, the stigma keeps people silent. Unlike physical health complaints, loneliness carries a stigma that discourages people from acknowledging it. Even to their doctors, many adults over 50 feel that admitting loneliness means admitting failure. It goes unaddressed, often for years. Number four, digital connection doesn't fully compensate. Research consistently shows that digital interaction does not produce the same neurological and physiological benefits as in-person connection. The body responds differently to a phone screen than to a human presence. The biological need for face-to-face contact goes unmet. Now let's talk about what chronic loneliness actually does to the brain and body. The brain effects are the most well documented. Chronically lonely individuals show measurable differences in brain structure and function. The prefrontal cortex shows reduced activity. The amygdala, the brain's threat detection center, becomes hyperactive, constantly scanning for social danger. Over time, chronic loneliness is associated with significantly accelerated cognitive decline. A major study found that lonely adults had a 64% higher risk of developing dementia compared to those who felt socially connected. That places loneliness in the same risk category as some of the most established dementia risk factors we know of. The cardiovascular effects are equally serious. Chronic loneliness raises blood pressure, increases arterial stiffness, and significantly increases the risk of heart attack and stroke. Research has found that social isolation is associated with a 29% higher risk of heart disease and a 32% higher risk of stroke. The immune system is also directly affected. Lonely individuals show a shift in immune gene expression, upregulating genes associated with inflammation and downregulating genes associated with antiviral defense. Chronically lonely people are more prone to systemic inflammation, slower to recover from illness, and more vulnerable to infection. Sleep is disrupted as well. Lonely individuals show more fragmented sleep and less time in deep, slow-wave sleep. The hypervigilance produced by social threat perception keeps the nervous system in a state of low-level alertness, even during sleep, preventing the restorative rest the brain needs. And all of these effects feed each other. Poor sleep worsens inflammation. Inflammation accelerates cognitive decline. Cognitive decline reduces the ability to maintain social connections. Reduced connection deepens loneliness. The cycle compounds over years. Now let's talk about what actually helps. Number 1, prioritize quality over quantity. What matters most is not how many social interactions you have, but how meaningful they feel. One genuine relationship, where both people feel seen and understood, produces more measurable biological benefit than a large number of superficial contacts. The goal is not to rebuild a large social circle. It's to identify and invest in the relationships that carry real meaning consistently. Number 2, shared activity creates connection more effectively than conversation alone. Research on social bonding shows that doing things together, particularly activities involving a shared goal or physical movement, produces stronger feelings of connection than talking alone. Walking groups, volunteer organizations, fitness classes, and book clubs create the conditions for genuine connection. They provide repeated exposure to the same people over time, which is what the brain needs to form trust and attachment. Number 3, reframe loneliness as information, not failure. Loneliness is not a character flaw. It is a biological signal, as normal and as informative as hunger or pain. It is the body communicating that a fundamental need is not being met. Adults who acknowledge their loneliness without self-judgment are significantly more likely to take the steps that reduce it. Number 4, commit to structured social engagement. Isolation makes reaching out feel harder. The hypervigilant threat response loneliness produces makes social situations feel riskier, creating a self-reinforcing avoidance pattern. Structured, recurring commitments, a class every Tuesday, a volunteer shift every Saturday, remove the decision from the equation. You don't have to feel motivated. You simply show up. Research consistently shows that even reluctant social engagement produces real biological benefit when repeated over time. Number 5, professional support is a legitimate option. Therapy, particularly cognitive behavioral approaches, has a strong evidence base for reducing the distress associated with loneliness and for helping people change the thought patterns that reinforce social avoidance. For adults over 50 who find reconnection genuinely difficult, professional support is not a last resort. It is a practical, evidence-supported tool. Loneliness after 50 is not inevitable. It is not simply what happens when you get older. It is a condition with identifiable causes, measurable biological consequences, and effective interventions. People who maintain meaningful relationships as they age have lower rates of dementia, heart disease, depression, and early mortality. They recover faster from illness. They sleep better. Connection is not a luxury. It is one of the most powerful determinants of how the next decade of your life feels and functions. You now know the biology, you know the risks, and you know exactly where to start. If this was useful, hit the like button. It helps more people over 50 find content like this. Subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. And leave a comment below. When did you last reach out to someone you've been meaning to reconnect with? There's no better time than today. We'll see you in the next one.